This is the invisible danger awaiting Israeli troops in Gaza.
Depending on who you ask, Hamas is either a terrorist organization or a resistance force. Nevertheless, with the stance and actions they take, they are constantly at loggerheads with the Israeli forces. This means that many of them have been caught and sent to jail. So, in this video, I present to you the most feared Hamas members in prison. Sheikh Hassan Yusef. Born in 1955, Yusef is not your ordinary prisoner. As a co-founder and leader of Hamas, an Islamist organization known for its extremist views and opposition to any reconciliation between Israelis and Palestinians, he has spent over 23 years behind bars. But it's not just his time in prison that sets him apart, it's his influence and power within those walls that truly make him a force to be reckoned with. His ability to maintain his position within Hamas and exert his influence from within the confines of a prison cell, his charisma and his unwavering commitment to the cause have made him a symbol of resistance and defiance, inspiring countless Palestinians in their struggle against Israeli occupation. Before Sheikh Hassan Yusef became the most feared Hamas member in Israeli prison, his journey began with humble beginnings. Born in 1955, Yusef grew up in the Gaza Strip, a region marked by conflict and political unrest. Little did he know that his life would take a dramatic turn, leading him to become a prominent figure in one of the most notorious Islamist organizations in the world. As a young man, Yusef witnessed the struggles and injustices faced by his people daily. The Israeli occupation weighed heavily on the Palestinian population, fueling a sense of frustration and resentment. It was during these formative years that Yusef's path intersected with the birth of Hamas. In the late 1980s, Hamas emerged as a powerful force, advocating for the rights and liberation of the Palestinian people. Yusef, driven by a deep sense of injustice, found himself drawn to the organization's message of resistance and defiance. He became an active participant in the movement, dedicating his life to the cause. Yusef's charisma and unwavering commitment quickly caught the attention of his peers, and he rose through the ranks of Hamas, eventually becoming one of its co-founders and leaders. His extremist views and opposition to any reconciliation between Israelis and Palestinians solidified his position within the organization. But it wasn't just his role as a leader that set Yusef apart. His ability to inspire and mobilize others was unparalleled. His fiery speeches and impassioned pleas resonated with Palestinians, who saw him as a symbol of hope and resistance in the face of adversity. However, Yusef's involvement with Hamas came at a cost. His dedication to the cause strained his relationships, particularly with his eldest son, Hassan Yusef. Mossab, who gained international attention for working undercover with the Israeli security agency Shin Bet, was disowned by his father for his actions. Despite the rift between father and son, Mossab's actions only served to solidify Yusef's reputation as a formidable adversary to Israeli authorities. The fact that his own son had turned against him only added to the intrigue and mystique surrounding Yusef's persona. In 1993, Yusef's journey took a dramatic turn when he was arrested by Israeli authorities for the first time. This marked the beginning of a long and tumultuous relationship between Yusef and the Israeli prison system. Over the years, he would face numerous arrests and spend a significant portion of his life behind bars. But it was within the prison walls that Yusef's power and influence truly came to the fore. His ability to command respect and loyalty from his fellow inmates made him a force to be reckoned with. His words carried weight, and his decisions could shape the course of events both inside and outside the prison. From the moment Yusef entered the prison walls, he faced numerous challenges and obstacles. The conditions were harsh, and he was subjected to frequent interrogations and solitary confinement. However, these hardships only served to strengthen his resolve and solidify his position as a leader within Hamas. But it wasn't just his influence within the prison that set Yusef apart. His power extended beyond the walls as he maintained contact with Hamas leaders on the outside. Through secret channels, he ensured that his voice was heard and his directives were followed, further solidifying his position as a formidable adversary to Israeli authorities. It was during the Second Intifada, a period of intense Palestinian-Israeli conflict, that Yusef's prominence reached new heights. As tensions escalated, he became a symbol of resistance and defiance, inspiring countless Palestinians in their struggle against Israeli occupation. Yusef's fiery speeches and impassioned pleas resonated with the masses, fueling the flames of resistance. His words carried weight, and his actions spoke volumes. He became a beacon of hope for those who believed in the Palestinian cause, a testament to the power of unwavering conviction. conviction. But with his rise to prominence came increased scrutiny from Israeli authorities. They saw him as a threat, a dangerous figure who could incite further unrest. As a result, Yusef faced additional arrests and prolonged periods of detention without trial or charge. Despite the challenges and hardships, Yusef remained steadfast in his commitment to the cause. His resilience and determination only served to strengthen his reputation and solidify his position as the most feared Hamas member in Israeli prison. After spending years behind bars, Yusef was finally released from Israeli prison in 2017. His release marked a moment of triumph for him and his supporters. However, it was short-lived as he was once again arrested in 2018, plunging him back into the cycle of detention without trial or charge. Each arrest only fueled the fire of his reputation, solidifying his position as a thorn in the side of Israeli authorities. The ongoing crackdown on Hamas intensified, with Yusef becoming a primary target. Israeli forces sought to dismantle the organization and suppress its influence. But Yusef's resilience and unwavering commitment to the cause continued to inspire Palestinians, even from behind bars. The cycle of arrests and releases continued, with Yusef being arrested once again in October 2020 and in October 2023. Each time he was held in administrative detention, without trial or charge, further fueling the controversy surrounding his imprisonment. Salal Ali. In the heart of the Israeli prison system once laid a figure who strikes fear into the hearts of both inmates and guards alike. His name is Salal Ali, a senior leader of Hamas and the founding commander of its military wing, the Izz ad-Din al-Qassam Brigades. With almost 18 years spent behind bars, al-Aruri has become known as the most feared Hamas member in Israel's prison system. Born on August 19, 1966 in Ramallah, Jordanian West Bank, al-Aruri's journey from student to Hamas leader has been marked by arrests, imprisonment, and a relentless pursuit of his cause. Accused of being involved in Hamas's financial activities and directing terrorist attacks against Israelis, his influence extends far beyond the prison walls. Throughout his time behind bars, Saleh faced unimaginable challenges. He was frequently transferred between prisons, never knowing where he would end up or when he would be moved. False promises of release only led to rearrest, leaving him trapped in a cycle of uncertainty. The last 3 years of his detention were spent in isolation, cut off from the outside world. Despite these hardships, Saleh's determination never wavered. His release on March 17, 2010, after 33 consecutive months in administrative detention, came with a condition. He had to leave Palestine for 3 years. Currently residing in Syria as a refugee, Saleh's case highlights the unlawful nature of his prolonged detention and the violation of his fundamental human rights. But how did this man rise to become the most feared Hamas member in Israel's prison system? To understand his journey, we must go back to his early days at Hebron University. Saleh al-Aruri was a young and ambitious student, studying Sharia law at Hebron University in the Jordanian West Bank. It was during this time that he became involved with Hamas, a Palestinian political and military organization. The allure of the cause and the desire to fight for the rights of his people drew him deeper into the ranks of Hamas. As tensions between Israelis and Palestinians escalated, Saleh al-Aruri's role within Hamas grew. He became a prominent figure, known for his unwavering dedication to the cause and his charismatic leadership. But with his rising influence came the attention of Israeli authorities. Saleh al-Aruri's commitment to Hamas did not go unnoticed. Israeli authorities saw him as a threat, a key figure in the organization's activities, and so the arrests began. Saleh al-Aruri found himself in the crosshairs of Israeli law enforcement. Multiple arrests were made, each one an attempt to quell his influence and disrupt the operations of Hamas. But Saleh's resolve remained unshaken. Despite the arrests, Saleh al-Aruri's dedication to the cause only grew stronger. He became a symbol of resistance, a beacon of hope for those who believed in the fight for Palestinian rights. But with each arrest, the Israeli authorities hoped to silence him. Saleh al-Aruri's time behind bars was not easy. He faced interrogations, harsh conditions, and the constant threat of violence. But even in the darkest moments, his spirit remained unbroken. The Israeli authorities believed that by imprisoning Saleh al-Aruri, they could weaken Hamas and dismantle its networks. But they underestimated his resilience and the loyalty he commanded from his fellow Hamas members. Saleh al-Aruri's imprisonment only served to strengthen the resolve of Hamas. His absence fueled their determination to continue the fight, to resist the occupation, and to secure the rights of the Palestinian people. As the years passed, Saleh al-Aruri's reputation grew. He became a symbol of resistance, a living testament to the unwavering spirit of Hamas. And even behind bars, his influence extended far beyond the prison walls. Supporters rallied behind Salal Ali, demanding his release and calling for justice. Organizations like Adamir, a prisoner support and human rights association, highlighted the unlawful nature of his prolonged detention and the violation of his fundamental human rights. However, the Israeli authorities remained steadfast in their pursuit to keep Salal Ali behind bars. They saw him as a threat, a dangerous figure who could rally the masses and inspire acts of resistance. Following his conditional release, he became a refugee, seeking shelter in Syria. It was a bittersweet moment for Saleh, leaving behind his homeland, but knowing that his fight for Palestinian rights was far from over. In Damascus, Syria, Saleh al-Aruri found a new home. He joined Hamas's political bureau, a position that would further solidify his role within the organization. But his involvement extended beyond the political realm. Saleh al-Aruri became known for his involvement in Hamas's financial activities. He received funds for Hamas-related activities and used them to purchase weapons, further strengthening the organization's military capabilities. But Saleh's role went beyond mere financial transactions. He directed and oversaw the distribution of Hamas finances, ensuring that the funds were allocated strategically to support the organization's operations. Saleh al-Aruri's position within Hamas's political bureau granted him access to influential figures and important meetings. He traveled as part of Hamas delegations, attending official meetings with Turkish President Erdogan and the Qatari Emir. These connections solidified Saleh's position as a key figure within Hamas. His charisma and strategic thinking made him a valuable asset, not only within the organization but also in the broader context of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Saleh al-Aruri's focus was not limited to political maneuvering. He played a crucial role in rejuvenating Hamas's networks in the West Bank. His efforts included planning and carrying out terrorist attacks against Israelis, aiming to build Hamas's military capacity in the region. Saleh al-Aruri's involvement in smuggling weapons into the West Bank and establishing sleeper cells showcased his determination to resist the Israeli occupation and secure the rights of the Palestinian people. Ismael Hania. In order to understand the rise of Ismael Hania as the most feared Hamas member in prison, we must first delve into his early life and the experiences that shaped him. Ismael Hania was born on January 29, 1962, in the Al-Shati refugee camp in the Gaza Strip. His parents were Palestinian Arabs who were displaced from their village near Ashkelon during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Growing up in a refugee camp, Hania witnessed firsthand the struggles and hardships faced by his people. Despite the challenging circumstances, Hania was determined to make a difference. He attended United Nations-run schools in the camp, where he received education and basic necessities such as food aid and medicine provided by the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East, UNRWA. These formative years instilled in Hania a deep sense of empathy and a burning desire to fight for the rights of his fellow Palestinians. Hania's educational journey began at the Islamic University of Gaza, where he enrolled in 1981 to study Arabic literature. It was during his time at university that he became increasingly involved with Hamas, a group that would shape his future and the course of Palestinian history. Hania's leadership skills quickly became apparent, and he emerged as a prominent figure within the student community. In 1985, Hania was elected as the head of the Students' Council, representing the Muslim Brotherhood, an Islamist organization. This position allowed him to further develop his leadership abilities and establish connections within the political landscape of Gaza. Hania's involvement with the Muslim Brotherhood laid the foundation for his future involvement with Hamas, which was formed in 1988 as an offshoot of the Brotherhood. As the first Intifada erupted in the late 1980s, Hania found himself at the forefront of the resistance movement. He actively participated in protests and demonstrations, rallying his fellow Palestinians to stand up against the Israeli forces. Hania's commitment to the cause and his unwavering determination caught the attention of both his peers and the Israeli authorities. However, Hania's involvement in the resistance came at a price. In 1988, he was arrested by Israeli authorities and imprisoned for 6 months for his participation in the Intifada. This experience only fueled his determination to fight for the Palestinian cause. Undeterred by his imprisonment, Hania continued to be a vocal advocate for Palestinian rights and a thorn in the side of the Israeli occupation. In 1989, Hania faced another setback when he was once again arrested and sentenced to 3 years in prison. These years behind bars only strengthened his resolve and solidified his commitment to the Hamas movement. Hania's time in prison allowed him to to connect with other like-minded individuals and further develop his understanding of the Palestinian struggle. Following his release in 1992, the Israeli military authorities of the occupied Palestinian territories decided to deport Hania to Lebanon, along with senior Hamas leaders, including Abdelaziz al-Rantisi, Mahmoud Zahar, Aziz Duwaik, and 400 other activists. This period of exile proved to be a turning point for Hamas as they gained unprecedented media exposure and became known throughout the world. Hania's role within the organization continued to grow, and he emerged as a key figure in shaping Hamas's ideology and strategy. A year later, Hania returned to Gaza, his homeland, and was appointed as the dean of the Islamic University. This position allowed him to further influence and shape the minds of young Palestinians who were eager to join the resistance against the Israeli occupation. Hania's leadership skills and his close relationship with Hamas's spiritual leader, Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, propelled him into a position of prominence within the organization. Hania's involvement with Hamas continued to strengthen during the Second Intifada, which erupted in 2000. His close ties with Yassin and the assassinations of much of the Hamas leadership by the Israeli security forces further solidified his position within the organization. Hania's unwavering commitment to the Palestinian cause and his involvement in attacks against Israeli citizens made him a prime target for the Israel Defense Forces. Hania's leadership, skills, and unwavering commitment to the Hamas cause did not go unnoticed. In 2006, Hamas participated in the Palestinian legislative elections, with Hania at the helm of the party's list. To the surprise of many, Hamas emerged victorious, winning a majority of seats in the parliament. This victory propelled Hania into the position of Prime Minister of the State of Palestine. As Prime Minister, Hania faced numerous challenges. The international community, particularly Israel and Western powers, viewed Hamas as a terrorist organization and refused to recognize its legitimacy. Israel implemented a series of punitive measures, including economic sanctions, against the Palestinian Authority following the election. Acting Prime Minister Ehud Olmert announced that Israel would withhold an estimated $50 million per month in tax receipts that were collected on behalf of the Palestinian Authority. Despite the mounting pressure, Hania remained steadfast in his commitment to Hamas's principles. He dismissed the sanctions, stating that Hamas would neither disarm nor recognize Israel. Hania expressed regret that Hamas was subjected to punitive measures, arguing that Israel should have responded differently to the democratic expression of the Palestinian people. The United States and the European Union also cut off foreign aid to the Palestinian Authority, further exacerbating the economic hardships faced by the Palestinian people. Hania criticized the West for using its donations as a means to apply pressure on the Palestinian population, highlighting the detrimental impact of these actions on the lives of ordinary Palestinians. In an attempt to engage with the international community, Hania sent a letter to U.S. President George W. Bush calling for direct negotiations with the elected Hamas government. He offered a long-term truce with Israel, accepting the establishment of a Palestinian state within the 1967 borders. Hania also urged an end to the international boycott, arguing that it would only encourage violence and chaos. Omar Dar, in the heart of the West Bank city of Nablus, a young boy named Omar Dar was born in the late 1970s. Growing up in a politically charged environment, he witnessed firsthand the struggles and hardships faced by the Palestinian people under Israeli occupation. It was in this tumultuous setting that Daragme's journey towards becoming the most feared Hamas member in prison began. As a teenager, Daragme became increasingly involved in the resistance movement against Israeli occupation. He was drawn to the cause, fueled by a deep sense of injustice and a desire to fight for the rights of his people. It was during this time that he found a home within the ranks of Hamas, a militant group dedicated to the liberation of Palestine. Daragme's natural leadership skills and unwavering commitment quickly caught the attention of his superiors within Hamas. He proved himself to be a formidable force, displaying strategic thinking, meticulous planning, and an unwavering dedication to the cause. These qualities propelled him up the ranks of the organization, earning him the respect and admiration of his fellow fighters. As Daragme's reputation grew, so did his involvement in high-profile attacks against Israeli targets. His actions struck fear into the hearts of Israeli forces, who saw him as a relentless adversary. Daragme's strategic brilliance and unwavering determination made him a force to be reckoned with, and his name became synonymous with fear and defiance. But it wasn't just his military prowess that made Daragme a feared figure. He was known for his brutal methods of interrogation and punishment, instilling fear in those who crossed him or betrayed the cause. His reputation for swift and merciless retribution only solidified his position within Hamas and further struck fear into the hearts of his enemies. However, Daragme's journey was far from over. In 2010, he was captured by Israeli forces during a raid on a Hamas safe house. His capture marked a turning point in his life, as he was subsequently sentenced to life imprisonment for his involvement in terrorist activities. But even behind bars, Daragme's influence remained strong, commanding respect and loyalty from his fellow inmates. Life in prison presented a new set of challenges for Omar Dar, the most feared Hamas member. Incarcerated within the confines of an Israeli prison, he faced constant threats from both prison authorities and rival factions within the inmate population. But Daragme's high-profile status made him a prime target for assassination attempts. Despite the dangers, Daragme remained steadfast in his commitment to the cause, refusing to be silenced. His time behind bars only fueled his determination to continue the fight for Palestinian liberation. Even within the prison walls, he commanded respect and loyalty from his fellow inmates, who saw him as a symbol of resistance and defiance. However, the circumstances surrounding Daragme's death remained shrouded in mystery and controversy. On a fateful day in 2018, news broke that he had been found dead in his cell. Hamas immediately accused Israeli forces of assassinating their senior member, while Israeli officials maintained that he died of natural causes. The conflicting reports only added to the intrigue surrounding Daragme's demise. Some speculate that his death was the result of a covert operation carried out by Israeli intelligence agencies, while others believe that he may have fallen victim to internal power struggles within the prison. Regardless of the circumstances, Daragme's passing sent shockwaves through the Palestinian community and beyond. His death marked the end of an era, leaving behind a void that would be difficult to fill. The loss of such a prominent figure served as a rallying cry for those who shared his vision of a free Palestine. Yaya Sinir. In the dusty streets of the Khan Yunis refugee camp, a young boy named Yaya Sinir was born into a world of turmoil and uncertainty. It was the year 1962, and the Gaza Strip was under Egyptian rule. Sinwar's family had been uprooted from their ancestral home in Al-Majd Ashkelon, during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, seeking refuge in the crowded camp. Growing up amid the Palestinian liberation struggle, Sinir witnessed firsthand the injustices and hardships faced by his people. The daily struggles, the constant presence of Israeli military forces, and the longing for a homeland fueled his determination to fight for the Palestinian cause. After completing his studies at the Islamic University of Gaza, where he earned a bachelor's degree in Arabic studies, Sinwar's path took a fateful turn. In the early 1980s, he was arrested for his involvement in subversive activities, serving several months in the Farah prison. It was during this time that he forged connections with fellow Palestinian activists, including Salah Shehad, who would play a significant role in shaping his future. Released from prison, Sinwar emerged with a newfound dedication to the Palestinian cause. In collaboration with Rahi Mushtaha, he co-founded the Munazamat al-Jihad wal Dawa, MAD, an organization that aimed to identify collaborators with Israel among the Palestinian population. This organization would later evolve into the security apparatus of Hamas. In 1987, as the first Intifada swept across the Palestinian territories, Hamas emerged as a prominent force in the resistance movement. Sinwar, with his unwavering commitment and strategic mindset, played a pivotal role in shaping Hamas's early years. The organization, initially established as a police force, sought to protect Palestinian interests and resist Israeli occupation. Sinwar's involvement in Hamas took a dark turn in 1988 when he orchestrated the abduction and killing of 2 Israeli soldiers and the murder of 4 Palestinians suspected of collaborating with Israel. These brutal acts sent shockwaves through the region, solidifying Sinwar's reputation as a ruthless and determined figure within Hamas. However, his reign of terror would be short-lived. In February 1989, Sinwar was apprehended by Israeli forces. During questioning, he admitted to his involvement in the heinous crimes, leading investigators to the burial site of the victims. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and he was subsequently sentenced to 4 life sentences. Sinwar's imprisonment marked a turning point in his life, but little did anyone know that it would only be a temporary setback. For 22 long years, Yaya Sinir languished behind bars, serving his 4 life sentences imposed by Israel. Locked away from the world, he became a symbol of Hamas's unwavering resistance against Israeli occupation. But even in the confines of prison, Sinwar's influence and notoriety continued to grow. His imprisonment did not dampen his spirit or his commitment to the Palestinian cause. Sinwar became a rallying point for Hamas supporters, inspiring acts of resistance and defiance both within and outside the prison walls. His unwavering determination and refusal to bow down to Israeli authority made him a legend among his fellow inmates. Then Then in 2011, a seismic shift occurred. Sinwar was among the 1,026 Palestinian prisoners released in a historic exchange for IDF soldier Gilad Shalit, who had been held captive by Hamas for 5 agonizing years. The news of Sinwar's release reverberated throughout the region, sending shockwaves through the Israeli establishment. Emerging from prison, Sinwar was hailed as a hero by his supporters. His release marked a turning point in his life, propelling him to the forefront of Hamas's leadership. In 2017, he was secretly elected as the leader of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, taking over from Ismael Hania. This appointment signaled a shift in Hamas's approach, as Sinwar's reputation for ruthlessness and uncompromising commitment to the Palestinian cause made him a formidable figure. Under Sinwar's leadership, Hamas adopted a more aggressive stance towards Israel. He rejected any reconciliation with the Israeli government and called on militants to capture more Israeli soldiers. Sinwar's strategic decisions and unwavering resolve kept the conflict between Israel and Hamas at a boiling point, with no signs of resolution. His rise to power was not without its challenges. In 2021, Sinwar narrowly escaped an assassination attempt by Israel, a testament to the threat he poses to their interests. Despite the constant danger, Sinwar remains defiant, unyielding in his pursuit of justice for the Palestinian people. Yaya Sinwar's release from prison marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one that would see him become a thorn in the side of the Israeli establishment. His uncompromising rhetoric and actions have kept the conflict between Israel and Hamas at a fever pitch, with no end in sight. Sinwar's strategic decisions have silenced hardline voices within Hamas, overruling the use of tunnels that Mohammed Deif wanted to use to sneak fighters into Israel. His leadership has been marked by a rejection of any reconciliation with Israel, instead calling for continued resistance and defiance. Despite the ongoing tensions and the constant threat to his life, Sinwar remains resolute. He has become the de facto ruler of Gaza, wielding immense power and influence within Hamas. His recent proposal for the release of all Palestinian prisoners in Israeli confinement in exchange for the release of all hostages kidnapped in the conflict further demonstrates his determination to fight for the Palestinian cause. Yaya Sinwar's journey from prison to power is a testament to his unwavering commitment to the Palestinian struggle. His story is one of resilience, defiance, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. Whether viewed as a hero or a terrorist, there is no denying the impact he has had on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And that brings us to the end of this video. If you liked it, click on the card on your screen.